Claude Johnson?
You know, the other night after the debate, we heard this statement that Connecticut ranked last or near last in terms of competitiveness, but we looked it up and it's just simply not true. I mean, we looked at the Forbes and other studies that have been done. We even looked at the study that's on different websites of different campaigns. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, my business is competitive, and Connecticut is a great place to do business. We do need some areas for improvement, but most of all, we have to find ways to inspire our own residents, our own townspeople, on how to believe in their own ideas and to be able to implement them right here in town with an incubator system that would be paid for simply by people who are already in that network, professors, college students, high school interns, and local support through volunteerism. And I certainly would help too, and we're actually planning to do a seminar talk called How to Create Something from Nothing.
Very good. Thank you. Claude Johnson, what is the biggest issue facing the residents of the 151st District, and what will you do in Hartford to address this issue?
Well, it's really jobs. I mean, there are 320 foreclosures at this point in time taking place in Greenwich, and it's all in all different areas. And as I walk around and talk with residents, I note that people either are looking for a job or know somebody that's looking for a job, know somebody that's lost their job. I've been in that position. In fact, when I was laid off from corporate America, where I worked in for 20 years, I had jobs at IBM, American Express, National Basketball Association, and Nike, and others. And I was faced with this issue of what do I do now? And that's when I actually went forward with my plans for my business, which I'd been working on the side all that time as a hobby, but it was now an opportunity to make that into a reality. So I think that people really need to know, how can I take my idea, my hobby, or something that I love, some passion that I have, or even some expertise, and turn that into an income stream? Even if it's just $50 a month, that makes a difference. And I think that we don't have leaders that are talking about those kinds of ideas, and we don't have resources for that. Here and there are some, and they're very valuable. But I think in our district, definitely it's jobs. There are a couple of other things that are very important, like the Witherell project, which I know we're going to talk about. I think we have to make sure that we understand why that facility needs to stay open. I think if we had more influence in Hartford, we would definitely be able to see the future be bright for that facility.
Very good. Fred Camillo?
Well, certainly jobs is the #1 priority, along with spending and the economy. No one ever set up shop in a state and went there because there are higher taxes. That's never going to happen. The fact is, many national organizations have rated us close to last in business. What we need to do, again, is to incentivize people to come here and to retain the ones that we have. We did the Blue Sky Bar, the movie production company, that seems to be working out pretty well a few years ago. We've gotten incentives for companies here in Greenwich to stay, but we need to do awful lot more. Alternative energy is wide open. We spoke about this 2 years ago. I get emails all the time from people saying, hey, there's this company that would love to come here, but the way our taxes are here and the affordability, it's just, why would you come to a state that is going to tax you a lot more? If you look at a state like North Carolina and Florida, those are the ones we're losing them to. The fact that we're losing people all the time, we've already lost 1 congressional seat due to a loss in population. We're slated to lose another one by 2020. They're leaving for a reason. This is a beautiful state, has good proximity to New York and Boston. We have waterfront, we have the back countryside, and it's a very, very intelligent citizenry. They're leaving because they're getting taxed out. When I talk to people around the district now, a lot of them have said, Freddie, I can't vote for you this year. And I said, why? Because I've switched my residence to Florida. So it's a big problem, and for anybody to say that it's not, is missing the point. We have a serious problem here, and I'm going to continue to address it.
Claude Johnson, you like to reply?
Thank you. Yeah, when I walk around the district, a lot of people are also saying that they were not going to vote for Mr. Camillo, but it's not because they're turning their back on the incumbent. It's just that what they recognize is that we need to put the best players on the field, to use a sports metaphor. If I'm elected, I want to work very closely with Mr. Camillo because he's a valuable part of the community. So that's not my campaign. My campaign isn't against anybody. It's actually for Greenwich. That's why it's called Claude for Greenwich. We have tremendous assets in this state, world-class colleges. We have great corporations that are coming in. Only 3% of the total tax base is from corporate income tax. So that's not really the issue. We need more taxpayers, not more taxes.
Very good. Fred Camillo?
Well, my opponent, I appreciate that. My opponent seeks to join a caucus that continuously attacks that whole concept. We have gone up there. It's funny, a few months before the session ended, about 15 friends of mine across the aisle, moderate Democrats, got together and said, we can't do this anymore. Our caucus is wrong. We cannot keep spending. We cannot keep taxing people. But the thing is, they voted against that very same concept when we offered it a few months earlier. So certainly that has to be either you're going to be an independent, and I've actually voted 4 or 5 times alone on some things when I thought it was right for my district. But you have to make that choice. And a lot of times when they make that choice in the Democratic caucus, I've seen it, they get punished.
Very well. Fred Camillo, what have you done to reduce the long and short-term costs of health care?
Well, on environment, transportation, and appropriations, so I'm not in Health and Human Services, but I've often said that we here in Connecticut do a really good job of having our people insured. We're about at 93% versus 80% nationally. So that's very good. Now, to look at those 7%, they can get health care when they go if they go to the emergency room. They can't be refused. But that doesn't really address the preventative, which is, as we get older, that's really important. I know we have a lot of organizations that do clinics. I think Greenwich Hospital has a health clinic that goes out. So Frank Corvino did a nice article about that I guess a few weeks ago. That reaches thousands of people. I've also been an advocate for tax incentives for small business because a lot of small businesses can't afford to offer their employees health insurance. It's expensive. It's very expensive. We've offered, and I've been one of the people pushing for this, to have our health plans, to have our premiums pushed up. When I went up there, it was, I think, $3. We said, let's make it 12 or 15. It's ridiculous. We're just happy to have health insurance. The Democrats and the governor raised it to 5, which is kind of a joke when you think about what other people are paying and what I had to pay before in the past. So certainly those are the areas that I would focus on, helping smaller business to close that 7%. We also have the Charter Oak now, which seems to be more hospitals now are accepting that. But it's certainly, we do not want, I voted against the sustenance plan, and hopefully I get a chance to talk about that. The nonpartisan Office of Fiscal Analysis says that will cost us between $2 and $3 billion a year that we don't have.
Very good.